Joker 2 is a terrible movie. If you are even remotely a fan of the first one, just skip this. Skip this one entirely. It's terrible, even as a standalone movie, especially as a sequel. It's terrible. It's like, where where do I even begin? Like the only thing that I could think of, the only reason I could think of why this movie turned out the way that it is because Todd Phillips got bitter that some fans didn't understand his movie for some reason, somehow, even though I think everyone understood it. And then the studio mandated another movie, and he said, fuck all, y'all, and just made this terrible, shitty product as a response. Like a bitter, immature response. But apparently, there's some interviews out there that imply that he actually knew exactly what he was doing. That it wasn't bitterness and pettiness and childishness, but instead just a failure to understand his own damn movie. Which, I, I don't know what's worse, honestly. So I guess I should go into detail on like why the movie sucks major dog ass. I, for example, like a lot of the people that were complaining, oh, there's too much singing in it. There's too much singing in it. I genuinely didn't believe them because it's like, well, how do you not know that the movie was marketed as a musical? Like they told you right there. But even though I knew it was a musical, I still felt like the music was a waste of my goddamn time because most of the sequences with the musical stuff, we get all of that information either in the previous scene or the scene right after. And I'm fine with the idea of playing fast and loose with reality. The first movie does that to great effect. And there's plenty of movies that do that to also great effect. Like The Shining, for example. Recently covered that on my podcast, Critics Under Maintenance. You should go check it out. But the way that they do this is every one of, well, not everyone, most of them are these weird, like almost dreamlike sequences, like they're supposed to be in Arthur's head, but then that just the way that the movie's edited makes some of the scenes that actually happen, it makes you wonder while they're happening, oh, this can't be real. uh if you don't want spoilers, skip to the timestamps when they appear on the damn screen. For example, there's one where Harley Quinn is just allowed into solitary confinement after being let out of Arkham. She's just allowed to get into solitary confinement to meet up with Joker in his solitary confinement cell. Like, what fucking sense does that make? So that can't happen. Meaning that the scene later where she's trying to manipulate him and saying, oh, I'm pregnant, Arthur, that can't happen either. But guess what? Both of them fucking happened. How the hell? And then there's a bunch of scenes that are also still entirely skippable despite being real and part of the plot. Like, towards the end, I. Towards the end, a bomb goes off while Joker's getting sentenced, or sorry, Arthur, because apparently the move Todd Phillips thinks that we wanted him to be the Joker. Nobody cares about Arthur Fleck, even though Arthur Fleck is like he's the reason that the Joker exists. Like the Joker was him embracing his worst aspects. Like like Arthur Fleck is the character, the Joker is the icon. But they're not separate people. They're not separate icons. And to my knowledge, the audience didn't want him to become Joker. We were rooting for the guy, being like, no, no, get better, like you can get through this. But then, like, it just he just deteriorates because of how poorly society treated him in the first movie, and that's why it's such an absolute tragedy. to watch the movie, and it's done in such a way that is respectful to both the coming up on a century of development for this Joker character, as well as to a lot of the mental illnesses that it portrays. If a bit fictionalized, they're still dealing with a lot of respect. But there's no such respect for those mental illnesses in this movie. It's just, oh, look, he's crazy, so he daydreams. It's like, what? Fuck off. That's not respectful. That's not respectful to the characters. It's not respectful to the mental illnesses you're trying to portray. And it's not respectful to the audience's time in the way that you're portraying it. Or their money, to the few that actually went and saw the goddamn movie. But back to what I was saying about this pointless-ass scene. So a bomb goes off while Joker's getting sentenced. And then, for some reason, even though he was closer to the bomb than Harvey Dent, like half of Harvey's face is gone, but Joker's just fine. And everyone else in the room is all unconscious or dead or wounded. And then Arthur gets up, and he gets out. He gets picked up by some Joker cosplayers. And then he escapes because he doesn't want to be there, I guess. And he goes to see Harley at the Joker stairs, which, first of all, how the fuck does anyone other than him know how important those stairs are to him? Second, when Joker, just in the previous scene, was Harley... Joker was trying to fucking get Harley back because he said, oh no, there is no Joker on national television right in front of her. So then she gets up and storms out of the courtroom because, she was just there for, the character, not for Arthur. And while he's calling her, we see her pointing a gun to her head. And so, first of all, how fucking lucky that Arthur goes to this place and just finds Harley sitting there at the stairs when we were being told that she's killing herself in the previous scene. What made her stop? What changed her mind? Oh, nothing, apparently. She still leaves him anyway. And then as she's leaving, the cops show up. Even though Arthur had escaped. Like, how did they find him? And if it's because, oh, the car that ran into the guys that were chasing him when he was trying to escape, they figured out, like, what... All they knew was the direction that he was going in that moment, not to the Joker stairs. It's all just so contrived, and so then he ends up at Arkham. It would have, like... how we could have saved on time while still getting all of the information that we already had? So, Harley had already stormed out when he admitted that he's not Joker. That it's not a separate thing. That he just fucked up. Okay, so we already know that Harley doesn't love him. And then he has the little singy thing where he tries to, comfort her and get her back. And she's holding a gun to her head. Okay, she wants nothing to do with him. We already have that information. Arthur wants nothing to do with being Joker. We already have that information. Arthur's going to end up back at Arkham. We can have that by having him be sentenced and sent back to Arkham for security. So, like, even when the scenes are actually happening, they're fucking pointless. How do you waste your own damn time so damn much? What the hell, Todd? But at least that's just, like, obnoxious and bad writing. But here's the thing. The film gets worse. It gets worse. The reason why Joker decides, no, I'm not Joker anymore, I'm just Arthur, you all are just sad, and, nobody cared about me, and all that. The thing that put him into that state was when he was at court, and he called the guards fat, and I think stupid? I think he called them fat and stupid. The guard's response to that was, to rape him. And that made him depressed, and so now he doesn't want to be Joker anymore. They literally raped the Joker out of Arthur. fuck you, movie. Like, also, what a disturbing way to think. So, Todd is upset that people didn't like his character for the right reasons, and so his response is to rape the character? What the fuck kind of mentality is that? What in the sickening horse fuck? It's just like, how is this an acceptable mentality for anyone to have? People like you when they shouldn't, so I'm going to rape you. Like, I know Todd isn't the one that, raped a real person. I understand that there's a world of difference between these two things, but the fact that that's, like, the mentality that he has makes me worry that that's the kind of person that he is, which very deeply disturbs me. Especially since, like, I haven't been full on raped, but I've been through something that made me wish that I had been raped instead of what I had been through. I was sexually blackmailed once in my life. I was coerced into sexting someone that I had met online, and they used the images to blackmail me, to try and get money out of me, and they threatened to report it to the FBI and to all of the social medias that I have, and claim that I had sent those pictures to a child. Now, thankfully, those were empty threats, and even if they were real threats, they got the wrong social media. But that was still, like, a bad time. And I can't fathom the mentality that leads someone to do that, much less think that it's an acceptable response to a disagreement, what amounts to a disagreement. And that's kind of on the same level, if you ask me. So maybe this is just really personal, but I don't think that it is, because I've gotten to a point where I can talk about it without being bothered, so I don't think that this is just me being personally, feeling personally attacked by what happened in the movie. I think, genuinely, that this is just sickening behavior. It's a sickening mentality to have. The reason I'm explaining this is because I think it provides further context for why I think that it's sickening. Like, there was no love put behind this movie, which is an absolute shame, because there is genuine artistry hidden under all the fucking shit. Like, there's a scene, for example, where Arthur and Lee, or Quinn, or whatever, they're talking in the prison, and they're talking about how, they need to get out of there and escape, and, yada yada. And then, because the guard had told them, hey, no touching, a couple times already, what happens is Arthur takes a big old puff of his cigarette and blows it into Quinn's face gently, and she inhales the smoke. And it's like, oh, that's a really cool shot, especially with, like, the music sting, the cello from the first movie, which is really heavily abused. We'll get back to the music choices. It's a really wonderful shot and moment in an otherwise, like, really kind of weird scene in a really bizarre spot in the movie. So, like, at that moment, I immediately realized, and I talked to my girlfriend about this after, and we were on the exact same page. How cool would it have been if Quinn, the lawyer, and the psychologist that only shows up in that one scene were all the same character? What if she was actually one of Arthur's handlers who was trying to, like, analyze and dissect him, and she believed that while he is a disturbed individual, he was forced into this and he can be rehabilitated. And there was something about Arthur's message, on the Murray show that actually spoke to her. And, the two talk, and, like, the movie is about, her trying to help him, but in her attempts to help him, she ends up being dragged down. And then that moment, that smoke kiss, is actually him transferring that essence of evil, of chaos to her, because while they're in court, it becomes clear to Quinn, wait, hold on, this is a kangaroo court. They're not properly defending you. The sentencing that they're trying to go for is too harsh for what's been done, especially considering what I know about you. You're not evil. You're just disturbed and need a little bit of help. We can help you. And then like that, fight against the corruption in Gotham is her motivation to help him break out, and so that she can try to help him. But that just opens the door for him to manipulate her and hurt her later. Or hell, you could even have her leave at the end anyway, because she realizes, oh wait, no, he was manipulating me, and then she leaves him. Like there's so many better ways to write this movie, and to have scenes like that still be perfect. And another scene is that I think is actually really good is when it's right after Arthur meets Quinn for the first time. And then he sees on the television that the government's going to try and have him executed. And then he starts singing a song about how he feels like he's finally needed. And my initial thought was, oh, yeah, he's happy. He's happy to have all this attention, to have someone that he loves, and, maybe the message that he had could, spread further as he's executed on television. And all that stuff, and it's like, oh, yeah, this is in character, this fits. And the musical, so he's like singing the song about how he's finally needed, and like I thought that was supposed to be a metaphor for how he's like, oh, finally I'm getting attention again, like proper televised attention. And on top of the high that he would have gotten from having someone else like be on his page with Quinn and all that, I figured, oh, what a nice little moment. And then it cuts away to him just staring at the TV, and they're asking, hey, Arthur, answer him. How does that make you feel? They're gonna fry you. And so it's like, oh, that was all in his head. And it's like, okay, well, perfect. Even more so, because that means that the singing and dancing, the musical number, it's now diegetic. It's not just there. It's not inserted into the film forcibly because they wanted to do a musical. It's actually diegetic, and it's done in a way that absolutely plays into Arthur's daydreaming and delusions that we already understand to be the case from the first movie. And because that's his inner thoughts, that proves that wasn't a performance. He's genuinely happy, and that singing was clearly in response to him getting, him learning that they're going to try and fry him. Put him on the electric chair. But no, fuck you, because we immediately cut to him being, like, him tied to the fence in the rain while he's cry-laughing. Which is a bizarre way to edit that. Like, it's just a shame because both of those visuals, like the visual of that is great. But why did you splice that in right after he was celebrating having all the love and attention that he's always wanted, between Quinn and the government? Like, why would you do that? Like, the scenes are edited in such a confusing way. Like, I feel like some of the scenes are just out of order, in a way. It's just so confusing. I don't know how else to describe it. But yeah, I guess I'll end the rant on how the movie ends. After confessing to his crimes and being found guilty and all that, and literally escaping from the people that are trying to see him escape, he does the right thing. He confesses to his crimes. He accepts responsibility. He faces, what's going to be his punishment, more or less. And then he gets stabbed to death. And then the guy that stabs him, starts cutting his face open. And so I thought, oh, that's Victor Zsasz then. You know, a crazy guy stabs Joker and, cuts himself, gives himself a tally. But apparently, between interviews that I've found, as well as how everyone else took it, and then the fact that he was aiming specifically for his cheek, um, apparently that's supposed to be the real Joker. What? Fuck off. So Arthur does the right thing and gets killed for it by the super fans because we the fans apparently only care about the Joker and not Arthur. Whatever the fuck that means. But the thing is, like, isn't the reason, Todd, that everyone used your version of the Joker as an image during protests and in the memes? Isn't that because it's to sell the point of the story without saying as much of the story? Like, what's more poignant? An image from history, like the guy being executed by the Vietnamese police from the Vietnam War during the Tet Offensive, the image of that, or the surrounding story. I could tell you the story of that through just the image. Like, it's the punchline, more or less. The all those protesters, all those memes, and all that use Arthur's Joker, as like the point. They're not saying, I'm becoming the Joker, I'm a bad person, and we should celebrate crime, haha, mental illness is dope. They're not saying that. They're saying society is pushing us to the brink, and we're gonna break if this shit keeps going on. Just like what your fucking movie said, Todd. We cared about Arthur. That's what we wanted. We all related to Arthur in varying degrees. That's why we loved your movie, Todd, you fuck ass. Okay, well, I've gotten that out of my system. So I'm just gonna go eat some fucking lunch, and I'm gonna settle down a little bit. Fuck this damn movie. Avoid it like the plague. Fucking... God damn, Papa Nurgle's gonna be happy with Todd Phillips. Jesus Christ.